Welcome back to episode 3 of season 2 of Leap Into Business, the official podcast of the School of Business here at Lehman College. And don't forget, our School of Business here at Lehman is the only school of business at a public institution of higher education in the Bronx or in Westchester. And Lawrence, I am thrilled today to have our guest joining us. Want to bring him in?
I want to bring him in. I want to say something though, right?
Jeez.
I know. I get it.
We hardly got started.
We just got started. So I always say, Jamiel,
Yep,
right?
Jamiel.
Before I go into this, Jamiel, I apologize for stealing some of your thunder on this.
Go for it.
He's going to do this the whole episode, by the way.
So I always tell people you got to know a mechanic, a lawyer, right, and a doctor. You should always do that. The game has changed so much. It's like now you got to know a crypto guy. It's like that's the fourth thing now. Like you got to know somebody. And I am in the company of 2 crypto guys, so this is going to be interesting because I think
And AI.
and AI
Yeah.
and AI. So you got to know crypto and AI guys. So all right, I digress. Let me get right into it.
Okay.
Jamiel, I'm going to read down the list of your things, and so don't worry about it. It's going to go
Don't get bashful.
on and on and on. Sean Jamiel is the founder and CEO of Modelex AI and Chain House. He is the creator of innovation products like Instament, Yield, FinPython, and Disperse. TED speaker and Forbes contributor, sharing thought leadership on emerging technologies. He spent 20 years on Wall Street with major institutions like J.P. Morgan, Citi, Lehman Brothers, Bank of America, and Merrill Lynch. He's a leader of the AI New York City and Blockchain New York City, 2 of the largest tech communities in New York with over 40,000 members. He is the founder of the digital currency think tank, advising central banks and governments on virtual assets and policy. Holds subject matter expert roles with UN Global Digital Currency Initiative, Digital Euro Association, and is the AI 2030 Expert and Innovation Fellow at Columbia Business School. He's an adjunct professor at Columbia, NYU, Scifn School of Business, and CUNY SPS, teaching graduate level courses in blockchain and machine learning. Author of Mastering Corda, and currently writing a book on generative AI and finance for Columbia University Press. He holds an MBA from Columbia Business School, a BA from Baruch, one of our sister schools, and is completing a second master's in artificial intelligence in Georgia Tech. And this is why I said you have to have a mechanic, a lawyer, a doctor, and somebody in AI and crypto in your wheelhouse. So Jamiel, welcome. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Good. We're gonna get started.
Okay,
jump right in.
hop right
By the way,
in.
I was thinking to become a mechanic.
That would be
Our plumber, because AI is going to take our jobs.
right.
Right. And so I'm like,
I think eventually, right?
all the office jobs are going to get like really automated. And like what's going to be left is like plumbing, right? And plumbing and all that. I'm like, maybe I should just go and be a plumber. I'm not
Pivot now.
I'm
Pivot ahead
not
of it,
kidding. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I should pivot now because go buy a plumbing
Just
company,
business.
like five plumbers,
Right.
And
then just roll.
buy one, and because the thing that AI can't do is very bespoke jobs,
Right.
right,
Yeah, right.
And so like plumbing, like you got to get in the basement, you got to go through a
right.
whatever thing, and so AI like, oh, I've not been trained on this, right? So the AI is not going to be able to do it,
Right.
and so there may be like an extra 10 years of like job security,
Extra decade.
So you get an extra decade.
Of look, what I'm thinking now, right, is
Jamiel's not wrong, by the way.
No. I
He's
know.
not wrong. Audience, he's not wrong.
We're gonna get into that, and I think that. So my question, not what I think, but my question on that before we get to the first question, Jamiel, is, and we'll talk about this. Like there has to be a pivot from what our students are learning, from what you're teaching. There has to be a pivot into opening up your mind about all these different things that AI. You're like. So when you look at this, when you said that's some job security for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
What do you think? And I know we're off topic, but Jamiel jumps right into it.
Tearing this up, right? Tearing up the script. Tearing up the script.
So what are you telling? Because you're teaching, right?
Yeah.
What are we talking about in the classroom if this is happening? So if I'm a student, I'm saying I'm getting the hell out of here in this class because maybe that is the space I need to do. How are you how do they manage that information?
I think so. A lot of students. So I'm teaching this blockchain and AI course at Scifn right now. A lot of students are not prepared. they're not fully understanding.
I was going to ask that, like,
Right.
like how deep is their understanding?
Yeah,
of
Right.
I would
how
say like
powerful these tools are.
yeah, like a lot of the business students are not fully there.
Right.
They're like, oh yeah, I use ChatGPT and things like that. So in my course at Scifn, they have to write a business plan at the end of the semester. This is their final paper. They must use ChatGPT for it.
Yeah.
They're required to use
Right.
and produce that paper using ChatGPT, and they must. And then they start to understand that there's some upside and downsides to using ChatGPT. But like you say to them, hey, your job is going to get really automated, but not entirely.
Right.
And if you don't embrace it right now,
Exactly.
you're gonna fall behind. So like it won't eliminate their jobs. It's just I think it's gonna create more supply in the market,
Right.
which then demand can adjust,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like the fact that we use calculators today doesn't mean that people lose their jobs, right?
Right.
We just get better at our jobs, right?
Right.
The fact that we use email, we don't use mail anymore.
Right.
We just get better, right? And we get more productive, but the demand has stayed.
Right.
I think the issue with AI will be like the supply will be a shock. There'll be so much more supply suddenly
Right.
that the demand curve cannot adjust in time.
Right.
And that I would say people would be worried about.
Right.
So,
I think one of the things there is that with AI, right? Information and expertise, sort of that raw knowledge, is becoming more and more a commodity.
right.
And so then how do employees, how do students, how do employers, pivot and sort of get used to that new environment
Right.
where having that background or that expertise, just that raw knowledge, isn't going to be good enough anymore.
Right.
Right.
So the pendulum is shifting. Like we train AI, now AI is training us, right?
Right.
And like I'm on ChatGPT. Probably you guys are also on ChatGPT all the time, right? Like I don't use Google much more, right? Like if I need to learn something, ChatGPT, and I'm learning better. I'm learning faster, right? And so
And you're in the driver's seat, right, Jamiel? Like as you're learning, this doesn't explain this to me like a 10-year-old.
Correct,
Like,
yes.
Like, and then you can level up. In
more like a
instant.
7-year-old
Right,
first,
right,
but yeah,
right.
okay. We start with a 7-year-old, and then we move up to like a 10-year-old. Yeah,
Right.
Like if I want to learn how a car engine works, like
Right.
I'm like, hey, 7-year-old, start
Yep.
this,
Yeah.
give me the basic concept, and believe it or not, that is the best way to learn.
Absolutely.
Because like there's all these holes that you have in some fundamentals,
Right.
and like that, like our education system, as good as it is, in the past 20 years, has missed some stuff, right? I'm like,
It's
all right,
not
so
perfect.
yeah, it's not perfect, and so we got some holes here and there. Like I don't understand certain things that I should have understood when I went to elementary school, and like I can backfill some of those things. I say start with here, start with the basics, and then I can progress. And all of a sudden, I'm learning more. I'm learning faster.
Yeah.
Um,
And the knowledge is deeper, right?
It's much deeper, yes.
The depth as you can go deeper, yeah.
And so then, but I think there's a large amount of students and global population that's not doing that.
Right.
They don't even they play with ChatGPT.
Right.
Oh, this is cool, and then
Yeah.
that's it.
It's a toy.
It's a toy,
Yeah.
right? And if we spend as much time as we did on ChatGPT compared to what we do on Instagram or TikTok, I think there'll be so much more that we could accomplish. And I think so the students that I talk to, they're like, I remember doing a poll once. This is last year. I asked students in my class, who knows what ChatGPT is? Like there were 7, 8 students that did not raise their hand.
Yeah,
They didn't even know what ChatGPT
I've done
was.
that.
They heard
Last
of it.
year, right.
Last year.
Yeah,
Yeah, 12 months ago. So yeah.
So, great, man. Like I'm carrying.
That's an exciting start to. I told you, man. Just on Bloomberg, Tom Keene style, tearing up the script, ripping up the script.
Jamiel, talk to us about how your education gets you here. Just how your education. We talked a little bit about your education, Peru, Columbia. Talk to us about how it gets you here in this space, AI, the whole thing. What are your What were your interests then? How do you come into this space?
I think my first, I went to Baruch, and that was a great experience, right? The CUNY thing was. Gave me a very solid baseline. It gave me, I would say, book knowledge and street knowledge, right? As opposed to, let's say, I went to an Ivy League directly, and it would give me more of a bookish knowledge.
Right.
And so going to Baruch and a CUNY school kind of gave me that raw edge. It gave me hunger, right? It was like I need to do more, right? I can't rest on the laurels of my laurels. I can't rest on the laurels of my parents or a trust fund or anything like that, right? I need to go out there and make a mark and do something for myself. So that was kind of, I would say, the foundation, that CUNY Baruch foundation.
Right.
And then after a while, I'm like, all right, now from there I went into Wall Street. So my first job was on a trading floor, and then from there I was like, okay, I probably need to get an MBA to go into banking and move up the ladder in banking.
When you get there, do you want to move up the ladder? Are you?
Yeah. So my last job was at was during the mortgage crisis. So I was at Lehman Brothers.
Okay.
I was in this area called mortgages. You may have heard of it.
Yeah.
CLOs, CDOs.
Yeah. So I was on the mortgage trading desk, and then I moved into mortgage securitization, and then I got laid off from Lehman 3 or 4 days before they filed for bankruptcy. So my severance went to zero.
Wow.
And then from there I went to Bank of America and to work on the merger with Merrill.
Let me ask you something real quick, Jamiel. In that time on the desk at Lehman, right, doing mortgages, all the rest, in crypto and in AI, is there anything that you're seeing right now that might parallel those bubbles, right? Because there's lots of investment right now in AI, everything. There's billions and billions.
Yeah.
We have Intel, IBM, OpenAI, Musk, also planning all these hundreds of billions of dollars. But is that money going anywhere productive?
Yeah, so that's a great question.
To your mind,
Sean, that's a
I have my moments here.
I mean,
Jimmy,
no.
right?
Listen,
I don't know the answers.
We
I'm
need
just
6
asking the
hours.
As you
question.
think about that, right? I think that question is like this takes our podcast to the next level.
It's an
It's
important one.
there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there. First of all,
No pressure, though.
yeah. So crypto and AI, like the crypto world is out there seeking capital.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Like from 2017, 2018, it's been like bottom up.
Right.
Right? Here's why you should believe in crypto. Right? And we're kind of like making a lot of strides now. Like institutions have come in, right?
Yeah.
AI is like kind of been the opposite. I mean, recently. Now it's like this. I'll get an email from some executive, and they're like, "We've got this money. What do we do with it?"
Right.
Right, which is unheard of.
Right.
There's no precedence for like people sitting on $50 million and like, what do we do with this? But we need to do something with it, and it's top down. Right, and so is it a hype thing right now? I don't know. I feel like it's not. I feel like this is like the real McCoy. There is something real here. Slight over exaggeration somewhere, some slight like where like the that hype cycle. I don't know where we are in that, but I think there's real money going into these things. The challenge, though, like for example, I had lunch with somebody at BlackRock 2 weeks ago. I don't know if I can say this too much, but like I could. But let me just say it. The revenues on Gen AI projects are not there yet.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like if you do
That's what I've heard too.
if you do a generative AI project, it right now like it's in the POC kind of phase. Then it's like, well, how do we turn this into revenues?
Right.
That has
Still trying to bridge that gap.
Is that because everybody has
the proof of concept, by the way?
Is that
Proof
everybody
of
has
concept is POC, right, Jamiel?
Yeah, POC. Yeah. So so is it like how do we make money off it? We know that this is weird. This is super disruptive.
Yeah.
But how do we make money out of it? So look, if you're at a bank, and you're like, all right, so I can use a language model. So how do I use it?
Right.
The problem with language models is that an equity analyst can't rely on it 100%.
Absolutely.
Because this, like, if you ask a language model, tell me is IBM bankrupt? It's going to say no. 999 times out of 1,000. But 1 out of 1,000 times, or some number, it's going to say yes.
Yeah.
Right? And you can't write that in a report blindly, right? Because then all of a sudden you publish something that's completely, you're liable all of a sudden, right? And so the question is, like, how does this work? We know that there's this massive productivity boost, but we can't rely on this technology 100%. We need some way of putting guards and layers of, like, and I think
we're still at an advantage, though, right, Jamiel? We're still at an advantage.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you're using Gen AI, you're
way,
definitely better off.
Yeah,
yes,
it's just the way we manage it. And it's a lot of that because if we rely on it solely, we could, let's just talk about the profit side of it. We could also lose customers because we're just relying on this particular thing.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about that, about like when you say we just can't rely on it. I understand that like it could get it wrong too, but I also think that it could also miss opportunities in communities and certain people and certain things.
Yeah, I mean, so generative AI, the thing about generative AI is it's based on probability. It's a probability machine.
Right.
Right. And so there's some probability that it's going to say something that's not true. It's guaranteed that it will at some point say something that's not true.
Absolutely.
Right. And so, but the question is like, when it does say things that are true, can we get benefit from that?
Right.
So if I can benefit 99 out of 100 times, then maybe I'll do it if I'm doing my homework.
Right.
If I'm writing a report for a bank on a company, then 99 out of 100 doesn't work. Right. I need 100 out of 100. Yeah. So I think that's what banks are wrestling with to some degree. Like, how does this all work? And then I think, there's tremendous amount of money going in because whoever controls AI controls the world. There is a question of hegemony here, right?
Right.
And I was at in Fiji in November. I was doing a presentation with the Secret Service, FBI. There was FBI, Secret Service. I was the only guy there that was a non-agent. And they're
He's just casually saying that too.
Yeah,
by the way.
I mean,
He's just dropping that in. He was in Fiji with the Secret Service and FBI.
He got on
That's
campus.
incredibly impressive.
First of all, he got on campus. He just like, I'm here. I was like, I don't have to get you in the gate. I'm here. I'm sitting. I'm like, okay.
He just
They
appeared.
did ask for my ID. They asked for my ID.
Okay.
And
He materialized.
she did look at me suspiciously. But I was like, but so their concern was that, and I can share this, is that AI is going to massively accelerate crime, right? So just as the good guys and the banks are going to be using it, like
So
you can do all kinds of social engineering using generative AI. You can create images and pass KYC tasks and things like that. So I think now the question is, who controls this AI? And if somebody controls this AI and people's jobs depend on this AI, then all of a sudden I can extract rents from the folks that are attached to this.
Right.
And the more people that are attached to my AI are going to, right, so there's a dependency. And so I think that is the reason why a lot of money is going into this. That it's like, hey, I need to get ahead of this. I'm willing to pour $500 billion into this in the next 5 years.
Right.
Because once I get past this, I am in charge.
I'm in control.
I'm in control.
Right.
And you see OpenAI now shifting towards back to a nonprofit model, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's a bit of a ruse, right? It's a bit of a like, hey, like we're the good guys. Okay.
It's an optics play.
It's
really.
optics, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, open source the models, right? Like you really are like
Nonprofit doing this for good.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Put out the models so anybody can download, and that's not happening.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right. And so I think to go back to your question, Sean, and to your question is like, there's a question of hegemony, the U.S. and China hegemony issue, and then there's a question of like market dominance, just pure sheer capitalism, which will lead, in the case of AI, potential political conflict and potential, this can turn violent.
Right.
I don't see a case where this will not turn violent.
Wow.
In the coming, maybe in 5 years, 10 years,
Wow.
where you are somehow dependent on AI to do your job, and there are one or two parties, there's an oligopoly that are controlling the AI, and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, and so it's a binary thing where you must use the AI or you're completely
cut out.
You cut out and you have no income.
Wow.
And so that's fighting words.
Wow.
Yeah, those are fighting words. Yeah.
That's this conversation is
Right. It's
crazy.
It's deep, but
This
you
is
know,
deep.
but
We need it.
but it's an important conversation to have.
1000%.
Because there's so many podcasts and conversations about AI that are so surface level.
Right.
But that it is moving so fast.
Yeah.
ChatGPT just launched its first model publicly back at the end of 2022.
Yeah.
And now we're halfway through 25.
Right.
And there are nation states, there are huge institutions allocating hundreds of billions of dollars to this in 2 years. Other industries would be, overwhelmed if that ever happened.
Right.
In other industries.
Right.
But I did also have sort of a pivot question there.
Go ahead.
In the interim, right? Because AI, there are going to be some, fits and starts, some pitfalls, some obstacles on the way. But I do think it's going to move a lot faster than experts are saying.
Predicting.
But I do think one of the other things that's going to happen is that as you get more and more automation, as employees and employers become more dependent on AI, that there's going to be margin compression across the board, right? And obviously in the banking world and the trading world, all of that has already happened, right? The margins on trading are gone. The margins on banking services are gone.
Right.
And as information and expertise becomes more and more of a commodity that's basically open to anybody,
Right.
Right.
how are companies going to deal with that? And then is that going to feed more entrepreneurial activities like yours?
Yeah. So I think as a small entrepreneur, we're in trouble because these 800-pound gorilla AI companies are going to gobble everything up. And in many ways, this margin compression that Sean, you're mentioning, which is absolutely correct, is rent extraction, right? Like where are the margins going?
100%. They aren't going away.
Right, they're not going away. Somebody else is like capturing it, whether it's a software firm or whatever it is.
Yep.
But I think software firms had maybe in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s an advantage. I can build some software. I create a local monopoly or something like that. Wall Street firms use my software. I can collect some money.
Right.
There is a small amount of margin compression because I'm collecting on the fees and things like that. And now we're at severe margin compression. I think AI is going to introduce a significant reduction in margins. And where is that going to go economically? And the idea is like it's going to go to the AI company. Right. And so like you had Anderson from A16Z, Mark Anderson say like software is going to eat the world.
Yep.
It's probably going to be AI that actually eats the world, right? And so it's going to eat all these eat the margins up.
Right.
And I think we're moving in that direction. I think we're going to be an extreme form of capitalism, but we are going to necessarily need to be a socialist society.
I was just going to bring that up because, like, if it's all going up to one or two companies,
Right.
I don't think that the policymakers, politicians, either here in the Bronx, in the city, in the U.S., or in any other country, are going to tolerate that.
The difference between like our politics in the U.S. and let's say politics in China is that our politicians can be bought by billionaires.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
I mean that happens all the time.
China doesn't give up about
Right.
billionaires. They will arrest a billionaire.
Right.
And
Right.
so
And they have.
Yeah, and they have, right? So surprisingly and perhaps ironically, AI might get better guardrails from China than the U.S.
That's an interesting point.
Because it's unfortunate, meaning that
I see exactly what
the
you
I
mean.
didn't
US
say
the U-
good.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said it was interesting.
the U.S. should be at the forefront of this, meaning like, hey, we need to rein this in, but nobody's talking about reining it in, right? Because you've got billionaires in the White House, right? And they're
For them, they're in the main. They want to be where
They're going to benefit from it.
Yeah, they're in bed, right?
Yeah,
and so, and in China, you can't do that, right?
Right.
You can't like the political party and the entrepreneurs are kind of like they're separate. They're subject to the
right, subject to the political party.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah.
No,
But the state comes first over there. Yeah.
And we would be. I think we end up being a socialist society because this is kind of thought exercise, which is, let's say 10 years from now, you wake up in the morning and you got nothing to do. Because
Oh man, Lawrence, can you imagine having nothing to do?
Yeah.
I can't.
I will.
Okay.
I mean,
psychological
that
thing
is the
first.
entrepreneurial goal: is to eventually have nothing to do.
Sean, isn't it the goal for us to at some point just chill? A day, one day,
Okay.
a day. Sean,
One
that
day
we
we
can
can
chill.
chill.
One day.
By the
No,
beach.
but I get your point, Jamiel.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
this is what Jamil's talking about.
Is like
period.
forever.
Like, I can't foresee the future of me doing anything but watching TV, doing X, Y,
reading
and
whatever
Z.
you want to do.
Yeah.
And
But that's a little
No,
scary.
but you. So
It's a little
you're
scary.
like so. Let's say corn is being harvested by AI,
Right,
and buildings are being built by AI,
right.
right? And so you don't have a job. I don't have a job. Nobody has a job. So the fundamental question then becomes what's my share in all of the production?
Right.
Yeah.
So the AI has a GDP, right? It has its own GDP. This AI has, it has a $500 billion GDP. This AI has, let's say whatever GDP. What is my share of that AI? And is that AI a private good or a public good?
Right.
And if it's a public good, then we're now a socialist society. Like, what's my
By default. Yeah.
By default, how much corn do I get per week? And I want more. So what do I do?
How do you do that? Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Which is clearly a recipe for fighting.
Yep.
Going back to that theme, and then, or if it's a private good, like one company, a couple companies own it,
Right.
then it's definitely a recipe for fighting.
Absolutely.
Right. It's like who do you think you are? right? And we're not gonna. And so do we dismantle all of AI at some point in the future?
I kind of feel that there have been movies about this before.
Yeah, we should
and
do
they're
a movie.
just I can't think of them right now for purely copyright reasons.
Oh,
but,
okay, so I can't
but
say it. Okay,
I wouldn't say it
I'm not going to
because
say
I don't
it.
want to get this taken
Yeah,
down. But I
so I
kind
can't
of feel there have been movies and books about this stuff.
And
it's
it's
coming very quickly.
Yeah. In 2018 or 2019, I posted on Eventbrite. Eventbrite is like an event platform. I posted on Eventbrite for an event that we would hold July 4th in 2034.
And
Okay.
people already registered.
I already registered that event, 2018 and 2019.
Right.
How do we fight AI back?
Right.
And it would be a secret meeting at a secret location to be disclosed. Because in 2018, 2019, I'm like, this is already going the wrong way.
Right. Yeah.
And I said July 4th is when we as humans,
Right.
maybe not necessarily just Americans,
Right.
we as humans would we would need to find a place to meet, and we could not disclose it, kind of like, this Matrix, Terminator-esque kind of a thing.
So you did this in 2018.
Yeah, I posted in 2018.
Chat doesn't come out to 2022 publicly.
Right, yes.
But you had this foresight to see something is brewing.
Yeah, because I've been teaching AI now at like the technical level for 9 years.
Right.
And I'm like, AI is far more disruptive than blockchain, right? It's far more like implication, but like that kind of Sputnik moment hadn't occurred yet for the U.S. Like that moment where everybody cared hadn't occurred until ChatGPT came along. Now everybody feels it, right? And so 2034 was the latest year Eventbrite would allow me to put.
Okay.
You know,
Do you got people registered?
lots of people keep registering.
I'm going to jump into.
Yeah.
I'm going to register actually.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm going to jump in the question
for the event.
because I'm going to register for the event
right now. Actually. So yeah, go ahead. Do that.
I'm going to jump into 3 because I think that this plays. So you've built communities, Jamiel, like AI NYC and Blockchain NYC from the ground up, right? It sounds like 2018 could be a moment at a time when you start this thing.
Yeah.
Right? Was that for me, Sean?
No.
Oh.
That was Jamiel.
So you have a 40,000 people network membership on this stuff right here.
Yes.
Right? Talk to me about, if I'm listening to this podcast, I feel like I'm behind. I feel like, oh my God, I have to catch up.
I think you might be behind.
Yeah, no, I am behind, right? That's why I said you got to know an AI and crypto guy.
I wake up every morning thinking that I'm behind.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that's scary.
Oh, God,
you too, Sean?
Yeah, there's just so much happening every day. It's impossible to
I'm
keep up.
asking him advice all the time, and he feels like he's behind. I'm gonna ask you advice, and you guys feel
I'll be
like
I'm behind on this stuff.
Oh my God! All right, so let me get into it. So 40,000 people in this network. Is it growing?
Yeah, it's growing. I started it in late 2017, early 2018. We had our first meeting, or it was a meetup, it was called, and there was like 4 guys. And in a room, it was in a small little WeWork conference room. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to do this. We were talking about the weather, It's like, it's like, so, like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a developer. But then it grew just not because of me, right? It had nothing to do with it. It grew because people were interested in the subject. I started it because I was like curious about blockchain at that time and AI. I started mining Bitcoin in 2012, but I didn't understand how it worked. I dug into it maybe 2016, 2017. I was like, what is this technology beyond just collecting Bitcoins? So these communities started based on like the desire to like the curiosity and the desire for education, educating myself, and that's where it started. And then there's all these people came along and like, hey, we need the same thing, and that's where it kind of just grew. And so basically, you put out like a mousetrap, the mice come, and and so I put out this community, and people were just, joining, right. And
is this a decentral type of community? So it's not like everybody's waiting for Jamiel to say something. It is a decentral community where it could spring up in Chicago because some people talking about how the organization.
No, it's very much a dictatorship, to be honest.
It's a very centralized community.
Yeah, it's very centralized.
Jamiel's the boss. He's the hegemon of this community.
Yeah, I try to do that.
Right.
The problem is when you're dealing with crypto, there's a lot of nefarious actors.
Got it.
We've talked about that before.
Less so in the AI space, but like I would say AI is more intellectually ethical. And crypto, I would say, is like it's funny. It's a funny world.
Yeah.
And so when I started with blockchain NYC first, all these people were coming to me and they're like, "Oh, we'll give you $10,000. Let us put our logo here and there and there and there." And they were about to launch a token and they wanted to grift a bunch of Americans, right? And I was like, I can't do this. I can't. Like, the money sounds great. I'll take the money, but then I can't have you selling and soliciting at my events.
Right.
And the minute you decentralize it, you give this some kind of authority. Even if you set the code of ethics and whatever, they find ways around it.
Up to the people that are there.
Yeah, and so it was a quality control kind of thing. So it was not like. I would love for it to be completely. I don't want to have the microphone. In a lot of events, I don't have the microphone. Like these, I've just brought in some other co-hosts and whatever, and I'm not even on stage anymore. I'm like, I get this out of my hand. You take the mic.
Right.
You run it. I want more people on stage. I want more diverse people on stage. I want, and I want to be off the stage.
Right.
It was unfortunate that when I started this, I had to kind of
be in the forefront.
Be in the forefront. But the goal is to be completely in the background, and that's a process.
Right.
And it's easier with AI. Very difficult with blockchain and crypto. Very
because people are looking for subject matter experts to do all the talking.
You're looking for, like, the whole point of the community is to focus on education.
Yeah.
Like teach people.
Yep.
And that is not necessarily in line with a lot of people that are doing crypto. They
there's
don't
a lot
get,
of
they don't
unethical people out there still, right?
Yeah.
Because honestly, and I've been saying this for a long time, that probably 80 to 85% of all tokens are just garbage. Right? Token projects, they're just quick pump and dumps, grifts, fast followers on other projects.
Right.
But I want to come back to a AI topic, right?
Yep.
Right, because I do think that this conversation is super important for us to be having on the podcast right here, and for our students watching, because our students, they're in college now, right? And all of them, their entire work life, for however long that is going to be driven by AI.
Correct, yeah.
And so, there has been this whole conversation. I think it was Andrew Yang, right back in, 2018, 2019, brought it up to the forefront of this whole idea of a universal basic income.
Right.
And it has been tried in pilots and all that. But I do think that if AI is automating more and more, that idea, which, at first I was not a fan of it, personally.
Right.
Just my gut reaction, going to be honest.
Yeah.
Didn't like it. But as there's more and more automation, and as there's fewer and fewer jobs, right? There's still work being done, right? There's still output, GDP, corn's being harvested, cars are being made, potholes are actually being filled probably under the AI, right? That depends,
Depends
but
where you're at.
but how is that going to influence the economic and sort of the workforce conversation going forward? That if UBI becomes a part of the normal household income, how does that influence how people have to plan out their own workplace careers?
Yeah.
A big question.
Yeah, it's a big question. I think I'm similar. Like, originally I was like, UBI didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Maybe 2015, 2018. And I remember Andrew Yang talking about it. But with AI, it's starting to make more sense. It may be a necessity. I think the fundamental question is, how much is the UBI going to be? And then more philosophically, will AI undermine the concept of money? Like, the AI can undermine the concept of money, right? And like, what's the meaning of money in a pure AI world?
Right. And in that UBI world, right? It's like, if we all got the same apartment, does the rent need to be up this high or this low or whatever? And so I think that's where you're going.
That's true. And then also, it's what would I buy? Yeah,
exactly.
Like, what do I buy if nothing's for sale?
Exactly.
Like, I can't buy more corn.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm rationed.
Yeah. Ration. Yeah.
But I'm rationed this amount.
Allotted.
I'm rationed everything. Everything is rationed.
Yeah.
So,
everything's
suits
rationed.
too.
Right.
Yeah.
Suits. See, now it's a problem.
Yeah. So.
But right to you guys' point, right? It's like, if everything is rationed, it is now about management of how I take my rations and work with these. Right. I mean, that's just like, I hear what you and Sean saying, but just as the the end user like digesting stuff, I'm like, oh, this sounds like I'm gonna have to have more control because I have less control of everything else. So the little things that I get, I have to have like super control of those things.
Yeah, and so the question is then, what can I buy? I go to the store, and I'm talking to a bot machine. You know, and I'm like, I want another chocolate bar.
Yeah, like,
and they're like, you already got two.
Yeah.
That's it for you.
Yeah.
So what do I buy? And if I can't buy, then what good is money? Right? So and I don't think that's a problem that we're going to face in the next 5 years, but it's a problem that we might face in 20 years.
Yeah. I'm scared of the conversation.
Yeah.
Our conversation right
No,
here.
with the robots?
I'm scared of the conversation in the sense that when we talk about your education and you being at Lehman Brothers in 2009, like when we talk, like that's not a long time ago.
No.
Right?
No.
And then what AI does and all this technology does is speed the process up.
Yeah.
And so when you and Sean say, bro, I feel like I don't know a lot. Like I feel like I'm catching up, right?
Yeah.
And I know that you guys are subject matter experts. Like you dive deep into this stuff. It's part of your everyday learning, what's happening in the news, how are things changing. When the average person is just like looking at they think looking at the benefits. Oh,
right.
I got chat now I could do less of my homework.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the background, there's this system running where you can do less of everything.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the part I feel like is kind of scary.
The thing is, like, language models, these language models, their abilities have even surprised the AI researchers that created them. Right?
Yeah.
And even the AI researchers, they will tell you, like, we don't know.
No.
Right. If any AI person tells you, I know, like, you should not be talking to them.
No,
right.
Absolutely.
Like, nobody has a clue where this is really going to go. Right. And I think that's part of creating some of the anxiety that exists. Like, we don't know where this is going to go, what the implications are, and things like that. So, so I'm speaking for, like, Sean is an expert. I probably am not an expert in the sense that I have to potentially reinvent my business on a regular basis, and I'm not necessarily looking at the frontier of AI. I'm looking at like what's applicable to people right now, whereas maybe other people, and like Sean, may be able to look at the frontier of AI, right? So at the frontier, still there are people that don't know where this is all going to go, right? And for me, it's like, for a business and as an entrepreneur, I'm thinking like, how do I make money off of this while I still could make money? While I still can make money. And so that's where I'm looking at. So I'm looking at it like, maybe simpler use cases, simpler uses of AI, maybe not where all of this really is heading. But in teaching, then people are like, where is this all going?
Right.
But like in the practical day-to-day, I'm like, what can I use? What can I build today? What can people use today? What are they willing to pay for today?
Right.
And that's a little bit slightly different question.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to bring us back on track.
Okay.
As per the questions, right? No, it has
good
been
stuff,
an
man.
excellent conversation. I would hazard to say, Lawrence, that our conversation here today has been the most in depth on this topic.
On this topic,
of
absolutely.
AI
and
how like the future of work
basically
is changing right in front of us.
Right. Yeah, I think in this conversation, Sean, I mean, we've asked people about work and about technology.
Sure,
we've asked
of course.
them from a
Every
technology
guest.
standpoint, right? But I mean, to get into the anatomy of like what this stuff looks like, and when I hear you and Jamiel talk about, I mean, you guys don't talk about 20 years. You're literally saying 5 years, 5 years. Right? You do these increments of 5 years, which is like that's not long. Right, and that's how quickly it's going to change. We're talking about 2022 is when chat came out, and now I think all of us, if you go on my chat, I have tons of different, and then I can ask chat, who am I? Based on all these things you said, I have a great friend of mine who challenged me and said, go ask chat what your blind spots are.
Yeah.
And it came back, and I was like, oh, I want to call my therapist. I need all my money back. I need all my money back. I need all my money back.
Yeah.
But, jokingly, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about that has, like, when we talk about 5 years, this is like 3 years, right? November 2022 is when I remember it really came out that we all were using it, right? And so when we go November 2025, I even feel like month by month this stuff grows, right, Sean? I mean, that stuff is pretty scary in a way.
I think we're going to end up...
Exciting is... Can I say it's exciting, Jamiel?
Yes.
Can I say it's exciting?
Yeah, I think it's exciting.
I'm excited about it.
I'm excited
but, it's like right now, the way that I try to draw a parallel to it is right now we're all on the up track of a gigantic roller coaster.
Yeah.
Right? And we're going up and up, inching up. Nobody really knows where it's going to end up.
Yeah.
But all of us do know that at some point we're going to tilt
Let me
and
ask
then
y'all
start
both-
running down the track.
Let me ask y'all both the question: should we all be on a roller coaster?
What?
Should we be on a roller
What-
coaster? No,
what-
as a
what-
metaphor.
like-
as
oh,
a,
okay.
and
I
when we
was
talk
like,
to our
actually, right
audience-
now?
No,
Yes,
as we
let's
talk
go.
as a metaphor, and when we talk to our audience, right? So your point is, right, like the roller coaster is going up. The bigger question is, should you be on a roller coaster? So I tell students that oftentimes, like, you need to be on this train. You need to understand, like, where it's going, where, like, because if it crashes, if it doesn't crash, nevertheless, you'll be on the platform where, like, the train is already left. So the question to you two is, do you need to be on this roller coaster?
I would say
Are we a train or a roller coaster? You guys
Well, the
are-
train was talking
which,
to
which is it?
students. Sean brought up the roller coaster, right?
I always got to go just a little
yeah,
bit.
let's go. But I'm just saying, should we be on this vehicle? Like, should we be on this thing to kind of understand it? Whether,
But what is the definition on it? What does that
meaning
mean?
that you should be knowing, you should be learning about it, you
Yeah.
should be talking to subject matter experts about it. You should be planning. How does my life, career, and all that stuff look with this as a tool?
Yeah, what do you think?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
you
think so, yeah.
honestly don't at this point have a choice,
Yeah.
right? Because AI, it's exciting, it's a bit frightening, but ultimately, the people and the firms that are best able to leverage AI, either now, in the future, in any industry, those are going to be the people that are going to do better.
Right.
Just full
Yeah.
stop.
I like that. As in, you have no choice.
You have no right.
You have no choice.
So Jamiel, you have. I mean, I think you said this earlier. You have two daughters, right?
Yes. Yeah.
They're younger.
Yes.
Talk to me about what you talk to them about this whole.
So they are, 100% into AI. So I'm a single dad, and I started taking care of them when they were 11 and 13 in 2017, which was clearly a pivotal year. And their mom's not around. She's in a different country, not involved. And so, and now they're 18 and 20. They're going to Pace University. They're doing comp sci. And I told them that you need to focus on machine learning and AI 100%. So they're going to events. I told them the only thing that matters right now is AI. There's not, and from a career point of view, there's nothing that matters beyond AI.
How does this? Let me throw this away.
Right, dude. I was saying that half
I'm
an
just
hour.
gonna lead the last
the
question.
last
You got to
question.
lead the last
Now we gotta
question.
nail
Is that
it.
a thing?
But
Yeah, I think in 10 years we're gonna be bonobos, right? We're just gonna go to the gym and have sex, right? And that's all that we could possibly. Maybe not 15 years, 20 years. Right, I know you probably like that. But
Lawrence
like
I'm
good.
looking at-
He's
I'm
like,
in.
finally, about
I'm in.
time.
I'm in.
Some
looking
good
at
news
my
on this
sound- I'm looking
podcast.
at my sound
I
guys.
see these guys, camera guys,
I'm
and the
looking
audio
at my
guys.
sound
That I can
camera
just
guys.
bring AI on.
Like,
Bring
you
it
know
on.
what?
Thumbs up.
You know what? Okay.
Yeah, so I think we have a bonobos future,
Right.
right? And so I try to tell my daughters that this is where it's all headed, and so cash in now, because then cash will be tradable for something really valuable later, right? Your skills will not be. It will be sitting on a pile of cash that will matter in 5 to 10 years.
Wow.
Not necessarily like, I got this skill and that skill and that skill. I got this degree and that degree. It will matter for now till the next 10 years, right? But what matters is like, am I sitting on a pile of money that I can now do something with?
Barter with. so to
Barter
speak.
with, right? And I mean, and for something significant in terms of not buying a house, significant to have a piece of the future. It might be buying a plumbing company 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because that is the only thing you could do to guarantee another 10 years, right? Otherwise, and at some point that money might not even matter. So that's what I'm saying to them.
Right.
Is like bone up on, get on the skills now. It's going to buy you 5 years now, and then load up on cash, and then that might buy you another 5, 10 years. After that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, girls, I don't know. Yeah.
Wow, that's deep.
It's intense.
Yeah.
It's
intense.
important though to
That's
have these
intense.
conversations because
Yeah.
it's going to happen 5 years. That's 2030.
Yeah, no,
That
that's
is
that's
not
around the
far
corner.
away at
No,
all.
not
There
far.
are, Olympics
Yes.
Right.
being planned for 2032.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
prior to that,
Yeah.
Right. We're
many
talking-
of these things might be happening.
Yeah.
Wow. Sean, I'm gonna take
So
one.
gym and sex is what we're going to be boiled down to, which is kind of like we were a cavemen. Like maybe
Yeah.
we're working out, and
Lifting boulders and then
and
Like some dorm rooms.
yeah.
yeah. Wow.
So, and it's going to change dating.
Yeah.
It's gonna,
Everything.
you guys have obviously seen the movie Her, right?
Yep.
And so like it's gonna change all of that. And you saw Sam Altman just say that, guys should talk to AI for therapy and companionship. And so I think, we might even have sex. We might even have sex in 15 years, 20 years. We have these robots and machines, and so I think society itself is massively going to change.
Wow.
And it's implications of relationships. It's going to implication of birth rate.
Right.
I think it already has.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not AI directly, but
Correct.
a lot of the social media
Correct.
stuff.
Right.
Yes.
And so I'm going to cut Lawrence off
Yeah.
real
Go
quick.
ahead. Go ahead.
One sort of quick question here before we
Yep.
wrap this up. If I asked you to tell me one thing that you wished the people in power, right, be it policymakers, Congress, if there was one thing that you wish they would focus on about AI and how it's going to change everything, what is that one thing or that one place to at least start?
I would say that's a great question, Sean. I would say that at some point in time, AI would make them irrelevant.
That's why they're talking about it.
Yeah. At some point in time, AI could make the entire U.S. government irrelevant. And so these AI companies are incentivized to keep the policymakers in the dark to some degree and just like tag them along, just drag them. Hey, we're doing this, we're doing that. We're a nonprofit now. We're this and that. At some point in time, there will be so much power vested in these AI models that the governments will become powerless, right? And I think it's important for these policymakers to understand this now, that an AI company with that power is potentially an adversary, right? Whether it's an American company or not,
Right. For the audience, just to dissect that a little bit, when you say the government becomes obsolete to an extent,
powerless,
yeah. You mean that in a sense that AI can manage just the day-to-day business. They don't.
No, I think the AI can influence votes.
Oh, okay.
Right, and so you're connected to AI, and you're talking to ChatGPT daily, and it's telling you what to do, what not to do, and you're getting your advice and your intelligence from ChatGPT, and somebody controls it. And I don't want to say ChatGPT because I don't want OpenAI suing me, but it might be too late for that. But
don't pick on them too much. But any of these large language models,
any Grok, whatever, right?
Right.
And if let's say 100 million Americans are tied into Grok, on a constant and consistent basis, then that becomes a source of truth. And we see throughout recent history, the concept of what is true or not is up in the air. Right. Things that are obviously true, people believe are not true.
Right. Because people would argue that Facebook did that, like this was happening on social media platforms.
Yeah, but I think the intensity of it is different here.
Right.
And so now I'm getting my information here, and let's say I do make a decision around voting, then what's going to happen? And we see this with Elon Musk and Twitter and X, right? And so he's able to influence power, and I think that's just the beginning. Right. So we're addicted. A lot of people are addicted. I don't use X that much. I find it kind of toxic, but people are kind of addicted to it. And there's this massive following. He's got 100 million followers himself. Even if I'm not following him, I see his post for some reason. Right. Right. And
his platform. So
his platform. Yeah. So what if he's control of social media platform? What if he or somebody like him controls the AI, and I'm connected to the AI, I'm interacting with the AI, and the AI is telling me what to do? All of a sudden, they are in power. They become the government.
Right.
And so the current form of government, as we know it, is gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Wow. It's a lot, bro.
Yeah, it's a lot. And we are honestly just getting started.
I mean,
just think bonobos, and
I know.
because you were getting depressed a little.
Lawrence's mood this episode has gone up
he was
and down.
He was
really happy for a while.
minute.
He's sad. And he's worried about suits being obsolete.
I'm telling you,
it's been a real roller coaster for
But
him.
and generally in academia, guys, people don't wear suits.
Right.
And so I was saying to Lawrence earlier, I was like, anybody in academia that consistently wears suits, which are you two guys, must be taken seriously. Right? I got to take these guys seriously.
Take me seriously.
Like you guys are not here to mess around.
A little bit. Mess around a little bit.
Sean, why don't you go? I mean, from time to, why don't you go to 9
Oh,
so
sure.
we can change the subject a little bit?
Sure.
And then I'll go to 10.
All right.
All right, cool.
So outside of AI, and I have to admit that I know I follow Jamiel on social media, not in person, and so I do know that you have a lot of hobbies
Yeah.
outside of working and AI stuff. So, is there any one hobby outside of work that you have that might surprise people?
Yeah, so I am part of a Indonesian metal group,
Indonesian.
heavy metal band.
Okay.
And so I play really bad. I play guitar.
Okay.
So I play
We got
metal.
some guitar people in the house. Too,
Yeah.
so-
Okay. Awesome.
So we'll talk about that a little later.
Yeah. And then like I love boxing and MMA. That I'm just glued. I don't watch any other sports except
Right. MMA.
MMA. But like so. I'm gonna get on stage somewhere in Indonesia.
Okay.
By the way, the only reason it's in Indonesia is because the heavy metal of the 80s and 90s doesn't exist anywhere except in Indonesia.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Are
there.
they getting it?
It's preserved.
It's preserved. I was going to ask you.
Yeah,
Are they
'cause
getting it late or it's just preserved?
No, it's just preserved.
Right.
And so you got guys with black T-shirts and
Right.
and they're doing this kind of.
Right.
It's still there.
Oh wow,
Right.
that's amazing.
Yeah, and so I happened to meet a band while I was there,
Right.
and they're like, "Oh, let's do some stuff together."
Right.
And so later this year, we'll get on a stage. We'll play like a Metallica cover song or something like that, which I'm trying to like get right now, like figure out. It's work. So it's a different side of my brain being used, right?
Right,
So
right.
Absolutely.
I got this big amp like at home and whatever. My neighbors don't like it, but yeah, I love that stuff. And then I've seen MMA is like, but you'll never see any posts about it on LinkedIn.
Right. You're just
Yeah,
No, of
you'll
course,
see it
I
on
gotta keep that
Instagram.
separate,
Yeah, on Instagram
Right.
or whatever. Meet my dates, meeting girls, whatever. That's on Instagram. That's never
Right.
on LinkedIn,
Right.
right? So.
Wow, good to know. Good to know. Jamiel, we ask this question every podcast. We ask season 1, season 2, season 3. Well, I don't know. With 5 years left, I don't know if we're going to be doing season 3, 4, and 5.
Of course we are, man. We gotta hold back
We
the
gotta hold
tide
it-
for
You're
just a
down,
little bit
man.
longer.
We got to get you back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, get me back.
His mood is crashing as we end the podcast here. He's gonna get up and
I
leave.
know, bro. Jamiel, we talk about this in our podcast. There are 3 metaphorical bones in business. There is your backbone, which is your decision making. There's your wishbone, which is luck or serendipity. And then there's your funny bone, which is your sense of humor. Which one? We know you use all of these different metaphorical bones. Which one of these kind of business bones do you find your strongest? The ones like I can always go to this particular space, and why?
For me, I would say it's the funny bone. I know backbone is probably important.
Yeah.
And
I'm so glad he said that, Sean, because everybody I've asked on this, I think always even Sean, when I interview Sean, everybody defaults to the backbone.
Backbone, yeah.
And I actually oh man, in my mind, I'm thinking funny bone because that's all.
Yeah, I think funny bone, which is let's say sense of humor,
Right.
because it lights the path forward for me.
Talk about that.
Meaning that if the key to business is relationships, right? And I think the key to maintaining relationships is to have a sense of humor constantly. And not like sweat the small stuff. Like somebody says something wrong, insults you, whatever, whatever. It doesn't matter. The relationship matters. And I think a sense of humor allows you to develop better relationships, more long-term relationships, healthier relationships, right? And so at home, like for example, my daughters, we're constantly joking with each other. Constant. It's like 3 comedians in a room, right? And that has developed relationship, like a stronger relationship.
Right.
If I had a backbone at home, my relationship with my daughters probably would not be that great. Right? My relationship with my daughters is fantastic.
Right.
And I would say from a business point of view, backbone is critical. But I think eventually when you get wiser, which I'm starting moving towards, gray hair and wisdom, is that the funny bone is the most important thing because it cultivates relationships.
I love it.
Right, and you interact, and people get to like you, and it allows you to be humble because you allow humor to be self-deprecating and things like that.
Right.
And that builds relationships, and that is then ultimately good business.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, we're talking about 3. You talked about the decision making. Talk to me about serendipity. just about sometimes being prepared, good luck, all that. Talk more about that.
I think 99% of my
wishbone.
career has been good luck.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think everything I plan for doesn't happen, and things that I don't plan for
Happen.
happen.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
So-
a big believer, Jamiel, that I'm not a goal setter. I'm just a routine guy.
Yeah.
Like I like to do the same thing, make sure I did this, did this,
Yeah,
did
yeah.
this. Because sometimes when I go, I'm not saying like I'm not completely a goal setter, but I'm just saying like I don't make lofty, huge goals. I'm like, oh my God, I got to get there. I just like to I just think routines are more important to me
Yes,
personally. Because then I think the serendipity happens. I think all these different things happen because you're doing the right thing. And so when that opportunity arises, like you're prepared. You're just prepared. And if you're not 100% prepared, you know how to get prepared because you're just, you just come into the day bang. I mean, every day is not wonderful, but you know how to approach every day and you know how to get back on track when you get off.
For me, like what's created a lot of opportunities is when I'm stuck somewhere, like I don't know what to do next, and maybe a lot of students would find this valuable, is to go outside. Just go outside and meet and talk to people, right? So this is one of the reasons I do events. Is like I have no clue what I'm going to do next. I don't know what product I'm going to build. I don't know what I'm going to study next. Just by interacting with people, things come up, right? And so that's part of this idea that just step out of your house, just go outside and meet people, you know. And I do believe in routines. I think routines are like it is the core of humans, right? Humans need routines, and I greater appreciation for routines. Like now I have like a morning ritual, I have a nighttime ritual, and it keeps me calm and things like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Aristotle once said, right?
Yeah.
Excellence
Excellence
isn't
is-
an act, but
it's a habit.
It's a habit.
Yes.
It's a habit. Absolutely.
And if he was saying it,
Sean,
then
you are
dropping
dropping
Aristotle knowledge bombs here today.
Aristotle
So
is
look at that.
crazy
Talking
around
AI and Aristotle in the same
It's
episode.
crazy. It's crazy. Jamiel, this was 1,000.
You should just name this episode Bonobos.
But no.
Ooh,
If you could
that might
just-
get us
just-
into trouble
Okay.
with the
Yeah,
higher ups upstairs.
yeah,
Okay,
you know?
got it.
But hey,
We'll
talk
try to,
about that.
yeah,
We'll talk about that offline.
we'll try to sneak that in there.
No, but this was incredibly informative. I'm glad we had a baseline of questions, Sean.
Absolutely.
But I think that, and we knew this coming in, right? With the Jamiel would jump right into it, and so we really appreciate it. I'm sure I'll get a lot of questions from students about, man, this sounds X, Y, and Z. I'll tell them to join the 40,000 person AI, New York City and blockchain NYC. So thank you for sharing your time with us. This was incredibly informative.
No, Jamiel, thank you again.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a great conversation. You know, we didn't have to go through these questions, right? But yeah, thank you. I learned a lot.
Yeah,
So thank you.
I did too. I'm +1 on my intellect, Sean.
All right, Jamiel, thank you again.
Yes.
Thank you all for tuning in to episode 3 of season 2 of Leap Into Business. Thanks. See you next time.
Again.
Here we go.